So for our mission, right, that we're doing within HP Storage is we are designing all of our solutions for folks that are doing next generation data center, so IT as a service, right? So we're moving from this traditional data center where you have one set of storage that feeds one set of servers that has one networking infrastructure for a specific application or set of applications. Nobody does that anymore. It's very virtualized and distributed. So for us, we focus on two architectures. One architecture for primary storage, right? So three-part, right? Yep. And then one architecture for backup, retention, and analytics, which is store once and store all. Okay. And that's a direction that we're moving. We sort of put that into place with the acquisition of 3PAR, the acquisition of companies like iBricks, some innovation in HP Labs. But really, at the end of the day, we're focusing on those two areas so that you have a simple architectural environment for the customers, right? So you have one based on primary storage, one based on backup retention and archiving, and then, but each one of those architectures can scale from very small, right? So what you saw today was store once. You can get it in software format. You can do it in a virtual storage appliance, and that same code goes all the way up to the biggest scale-out, purpose-built backup appliance, and our goal is to do the same thing with 3PAR as well, right? So we have the 7200 and 7400, which is we brought that very far down into the mid-market, and then with the flash, it's the same architecture, same code that you run on 7,000 all the way to 10,000, and that's really what we're doing to help simplify that problem for customers.
Okay, so this is to scale also to integrate with another open systems.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yep.
But what about you are not going to answer this anyway. But what about the competition? I mean, EMC is becoming more aggressive, if I can say something, in terms of achieving more share.
Yep.
Also, Dell is trying to find itself its own identity and part of its storage.
Yeah.
So how do you see this?
So Dell has a long journey, right, to moving to become a private company, and so we'll see what happens there. Definitely, our target is we compete and we want to beat EMC, right? And the way we do that is as a portfolio company. So in terms of technology integration, especially on the management and provisioning side of things, that's how we're going to achieve that. So doing the best that we can do to integrate with our servers and our networking, having that underneath one management umbrella. And so Dave Donatelli just appointed Tom Joyce a few months ago to run that converged infrastructure systems group, and that's going to be, I think, the forefront of that integration, taking compute and networking and storage and delivering that in packaged. That's how people are going to buy IT moving forward. They're not buying servers, networking, and storage separately. They're going to buy these. You need solutions. Yeah, they're going to buy these blocks of stuff. They're going to have an HP cloud, an IBM cloud, Cisco cloud, right? And if you're a pure play storage provider, you're not in that game. So from us, we are definitely investing in a portfolio approach. That's how we'll win, right? And we also have to have good products, right? So our
good products too.
Yeah. So our focus on two architectures for primary and for secondary storage is the way that we're going to achieve that. So I mean that is so we are in the version of LTO 6 at this point, right? And that's an investment that we've made over 25 years. I mean, it's a big, and it's a consortium, right, that we work on with folks like IBM and Quantum and this the LTO consortium. We still sell, upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tape every year, and that's a really low cost, safe, and it can be secure, form of storage for a lot of our enterprise customers. We have encryption, we have products like Tape Assure, but we also want to be able to provide, people that want to do purpose-built backup to disk. We do tape emulation, in store once, and we do archiving to disk with store all, for example. So we have some solutions that are sort of transforming the workload from tape to disk. I still think that from a price per gigabyte and like overall long-term retention of the media, tape is still very cost-effective, right?
Sure.
You can keep a tape around, like the way our LTO technology works. That tape will be accessible for 20 plus years.
Yeah. At the same time, I see you are pushing up a flash storage.
Absolutely.
That is very interesting. I think
Sure.
it's more effective in terms of cost, more easy to handle.
Absolutely.
For big data, for instance, for analytics. You can keep the information, but use it anyway. How do you see the evolution of the flash storage in the next years, until the end of the decade?
Yeah, so there'll be a couple things that, so flash will become ubiquitous in many disk-based solutions. We feel we have an architecture that can utilize that. We have very powerful tools, not only just things you would expect, right? High availability, all the features that you would want from a top tier grade, information, retention solution, and so we're going to be continuing to use that technology going forward. But a lot of it's in the software, right? So as to be able to do thin provisioning, thin persistence, thin reclamation, and have that spanning flash drives and spinning drives. I think one thing that you'll see that's interesting is the price point on flash will continue to drop.
Yeah, we hope.
Especially MLC, right? So I think you're going to see more non-performance intensive workloads moving to MLC for power, and cooling cost savings. So that's going to continue to happen. I think one of the things that we'll definitely see in the next 10 years is NVM technologies making a major change, more so than Flash. I mean, Flash is interesting because you still access it like a disk device, right? It's still I/O and the operating system and all that kind of stuff. The economics and the physics of NVM is going to be game-changing because that's going to cause wholesale changes in the operating system and just the way you think about I/O, and that's a game changer.
Okay,
like Memristor, for example, right?
Yeah. I was watching Priceline success history.
Yep.
But what about the other customers? How are they receiving the new technologies and the new way of using the storage based on software management? What are you expecting from them in the cultural change or technological change that implies the cultural change too?
Yep. So for customers that are existing 3PAR customers, they love it just by the fact that it's the same architecture, same CLI tool, same interface they're used to, but now they can utilize all flash that's optimized, to that architecture. So that solves a lot of problems, specifically around virtualization. We're starting to move into, really data-intensive workloads, whether it's OLTP databases or high performance, applications of that nature. So we're seeing that, and then what we're also seeing is a lot of customers starting to stand up pretty, like medium to large scale proof of concepts around all flash. And the fact that we have a hardened platform that provides 5 nines availability, all these features and functionality, is way above and beyond our competitors, especially the small startups. They don't have that they don't have the features, they don't have the availability, they don't have the number of customers and systems that we have in production right now.
Okay, I was thinking little solutions as these arrays from Western Digital, for instance, or Seagate, Lassier, that are for very, very small and medium business, very, very small business.
Yeah, sure.
That are very attractive in my country, in the market in Latin America, for instance. Are you planning to offering this kind of little solutions with a strength of the software you're offering, for instance, in order to them to live in the technology?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So you saw some of the announcements today, like with the microserver, right? That includes disks, that in that microserver, as well as networking and and atom-based processors. So I think that moving forward, that microserver actually uses some of the same technology we use in the storage group, right? I think that there's a play there for like when they talked about cost optimized with our VSAs, that'll be an option, at that end.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any specific plans right now of making like a La CA type of competitive storage product from the HP storage division. That'd probably be more of a question for the personal systems group. But I don't know. It's an interesting trend.
Sure, because the brand HP brand is number one in my country, for instance. So it's easy to make them grow.
Yeah. I asked the same question. So I saw the microserver announcement. I'm like, what are we building for storage? For that, as a purpose-built sidebar type of piece of storage. So I would continue to ask that question.
All right.
So we can innovate in that space.
Yeah, I hope I have good news at the end of the year or any time.
Yeah.
And besides that, how do you see the large storage services that data centers must offer in countries like mine, for instance, taking advantage of big data, for instance, for small companies or big companies too, and the role you must play in this game?
Yeah, so for us, we are offering, when we design these products, we have a couple different folks in mind, and we've had a lot of success with service providers with 3PAR, so we definitely cater some of these solutions towards enabling top-tier, mid-tier service providers that for example, I'm sure small customers in your country, right, are going to move towards a hosted model in the cloud.
Sure.
I would think over time, IT maybe isn't their competency and they want to go do that. So there will be, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a huge growth in mid-range and SMB cloud services, and we want to enable those cloud service providers with our technology, specifically store once, things like VSA. We have service providers very interested in using VSA as a core technology to build a backup as a service offering.
I think it's very interesting for markets like mine.
Yeah, so we see that, and then being able to extend a lot of this technology as far down market as we can is really compelling to
and now
users.
Let's talk about the Latin American market as a whole.
Yeah.
What's the strategy? What's the vision of this market, of this geography?
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of growth in South America specifically. We have development centers and we do manufacturing in Puerto Rico. We have development centers in Costa Rica. We have development centers in Brazil. We outsource, and have HP badged, employees.
Mexico?
In Mexico, and especially some of our partners are in Mexico, folks like Foxconn and places like that. So that's a huge area. That's a growth area, specifically in that region. And I think when we talk about I run product management, so when we talk about localization, internationalization, we want to make sure all our products are, be able to be consumed by some of these places that are growing very quickly. Russia, India is another place, China,
big
specific.
Countries.
Yeah, exactly. But in South America as a whole, that's I think that's going to be the next wave of innovation and customers. Plus, too, I think that you're going to see a huge build out in Latin American cloud services in general, right? Facebook works for us here in America. Maybe it's not the best thing in South America, so we want to enable entrepreneurs to come up with their next version of whatever it is, right?
I was thinking perhaps that the next generation of leaders, engineers, CFOs, CIOs, are going to be more cloud friendly, if I can name some way. In my countries, they are so conservative, so straight thinking. Perhaps we have to wait 4 years until 17 or something like that.
Yeah, with the cloud infrastructure we do is our path is to help enable customers get to IT as a service, and whether that's just they run that in their own data center, and then but they treat it as a service. That's one way. We can manage it for them. With HPES, it's a very popular and successful service there in HP Cloud Services. Or if they want to consume a full hpcloud.com and type of implementation, we want to have all those offerings along that path to get there. I think it's going to be a hybrid, though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a very
like DR and backup, for example, in the cloud, but your core
is
mission critical in your data center.
Premise.
Yeah.
At the end of my questionnaire, what's the ambition of HP as an innovation? I mean, in terms of storage, what can we see in the next years from HP Labs, for instance, or by acquiring new technology that you look or you see that they are important for the next step?
Yeah. So for me, the things that we're always looking to do is how can we do converged infrastructure better, right? So we want to be able to continue to provide these like virtual systems, cloud systems, app system for SAP HANA. All like people are going to buy technology building blocks. They're not going to buy servers and networking storage. So that's going to be a big change over the next 5 to 10 years, and we want to be the leader in that market. From a technology standpoint, for storage, we want to build the best storage platforms, regardless of whether HP servers are attaching to them or not. So we're going to focus on that, scaling out 3PAR, in the future, make it bigger, more price competitive for, maybe not performance intensive workloads. In terms of like big data and analytics, we do a lot of work with other folks like in the divisions like Vertica and autonomy specifically around how we do indexing and the indexing and search and retrieval of unstructured data. And, that's going to be important for us as well.
Okay.
And acquisitions, I don't know about acquisitions. We'll see. We've got. I think we have a lot of problems to solve in terms of like how we integrate and make everything easy to manage from a customer perspective. So that's kind of on us to do. We've made some pretty big acquisitions in the on the storage side over the last 3 or 4 years. We want to get them fully integrated and move forward. That's why we specifically didn't make an acquisition in Flash, because we felt 3PAR was the platform for that.
It was very smart decision. Talking about the smartness. How to make more smart and more easy to interact with the whole IT infrastructure, and how to make more safer the storage infrastructure too, because we are just keeping attacked constantly. So.
Oh yeah. So there's some. I think that there's going to be some interesting announcements later today.
Okay.
That you should watch. From the specifically the Vertica team around how they're using big data analytics around network security. So you should definitely check that out. Security is a big thing for us, especially within HP networking and HP software, to help customers mitigate. all these leaks and denial of service attacks and stealing of proprietary information. So on the storage platform, we're doing things like making encryption ubiquitous across the platform on tape, backup systems, primary storage, all that to enable that for customers. And we want to have as secure of a platform as possible for our customers.
All right. Yeah. Well, I just wish the best.
Thanks for your interest.
You have a very interesting offering now.
Yeah.
So, well, just good luck and
keep watching. We'll have more later on in the year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great.